Ooh, that looks tasty. Folks, Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another Kickstarter preview, and today we are talking about Expedition to Zanthalar. And before I get started, please make sure you turn your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any mistakes in the rules overview, that's where you'll find the corrections. And additionally, I do need to point out that everything you see here is still in the prototype phase. Now, what Expedition to Zanthalar is it is a tableau building, kind of deck building, not really because you don't keep the cards in your deck, game in which you are racing against your opponents to be the first one to get 10 expedition points. And as you're going through, you'll be completing various quests and finding new destinations and getting new treasures and taking things from your opponents and so on and so on. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played and just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game is played. The first thing that's going to happen is each player is going to wind up getting to draft one of all of these different characters here. And for the most part, they're all going to be the same, except they will have one specific ability that makes them better in one instance of the game. Maybe they will get more money in a barter phase, or maybe they only have to get 8 points to win, or maybe some things are cheaper, or maybe they get more money at the beginning of each round, and so on, and so on, and so on. But at the core of the game, what's going to happen is, to start the game, each player will have one of each of these three types of cards here: a treasure card, a trade card, and a reaction card. There's also quest cards, event cards, and destination cards. Then, at the very beginning of each turn, you'll gain 20 gold and flip over a quest card. Now, the quest cards are wildly different. For example, to complete this one, you simply have to draw 3 different types of cards on your turn, and if you do that, you'll be rewarded with 20 gold. And then you would get to place that card out in front of you, and I'll say you can only ever have 3 quests and 3 destinations at any time. If you have to draw another one, you have to pick one of them to discard. Then you'll spend your gold to buy other cards. And as you can see on the back of these, you can buy reaction cards, which, as you can guess, are played as a reaction, and it tells you on the card exactly when they can be played and what they do. Trade cards, and I'll talk about these in a moment. And treasure cards, and again, I'll talk about these in a moment. Then there's also these destination cards. Now, these destination cards are going to cost you 80 gold, but they're going to give you a permanent boost that you're going to have. This Gladiators Arena lets you do 2 actions every turn. Then after you finish making your purchase, you do your action phase, where you play a trade or treasure card, or you draw and play an event. Nice and simple. These trade cards, they have a cost, and then you pay that, play the card, and it tells you exactly what they do. While the treasure cards, you play them, and they tell you, again, exactly what they do. They are very, very wide-ranging what they can do. Or you draw and play an event card, and again, it's going to tell you exactly what it does. It might help you, it might hurt you, it might help your opponent, it might hurt your opponent, it might help both of you, it might be neutral, who knows. Then you go into the bartering phase, which is the last phase of the turn, in which time you can discard a card and gain 30 more gold. I should also say you can buy expedition points, which are your victory points, for 50 gold each, though you can never buy your last one. And you're going to play around and around until someone hits 10 points. But that's it. That's how this game is played. So what do I like about this game? The first thing that I do like about it is really simple. So when I got the prototype, it had a single page, and not even like a full front and back, like a front and a little bit. And we're just talking printer paper. And yes, I'm sure it'll have diagrams and whatever and look better, but that's it. And it didn't even give a walkthrough of how you play, really. You just had a card that said, here's the phases of the game, go. And I was able to play. And not only was I able to play the game, but it made for an engaging experience. And I think when you have a game that has that few rules and that few moving parts, and it works, I think that is something to be commended. The next thing I like about it, now this is going to be a hard thing for me to say without a lot of people looking at this as a negative. But I'm saying this in the most positive way possible. It has a little bit of Munchkin in there. And by that I mean there is the idea of you can buy your expedition points. You're doing things to get your expedition points. Like in Munchkin, you're trying to get to level 10, you're trying to get your 10 expedition points here. And it has a bit of that frivolity to it. And no, I am not a Munchkin hater. I will play a game of Munchkin. It does have issues in the end game of how it just becomes a slow slog of who can finally get that 10th point. It doesn't quite have that because you are doing a whole bunch of different actions and you have different options that you can do. But it has that frivolity to it, and it has that, for good or bad, randomness to it, because you are drawing quests, you don't know what you're going to get. When you are drawing treasures, you don't know what you're going to get. You might draw a quest that you are done with. You might draw a quest that you are never going to finish. You might draw a destination card that is going to be amazing for you for the next however many turns. You might draw a quest that just doesn't jive with your character. And the same thing with the events. There's all this randomness and frivolity to it. So yes, you can have a plan, but your plan is constantly going to be changing. And I actually enjoy that about Munchkin. And I think in this game, it does the same thing as far as the feeling goes without the slog at the end of the game. Because though it does have some of those cards in there where you can take expedition points from another player and you can stop them from gaining expedition points, there aren't a bazillion ways to take people's points and to stop them. Mostly it is building your own stuff up. And so I like the way that works. I also like the different characters that you can play. I think they work. Now, have I played all of them? Absolutely not. Do I know if they are all balanced? Absolutely not. I will say in the last game I played, I felt like the Bard was significantly more powerful than the Trickster that I have. And that was because the Trickster has the ability to always set a die roll to 6. Well, I never was able to roll anything till the very end of the game, yet the Trickster won. So I don't know that it matters, but it does change the playstyle a little bit. It does make you feel like you're doing something a little bit different, and I do certainly like that. So I think all of that works pretty well. I also like the kind of the flow of the round, how you're buying a bunch of cards, and you're probably going to play the cards. I mentioned that it's kind of a deck builder because you're buying these cards, but once you play them, they're gone. So it's not really a deck builder, but I like the way that works, how you can kind of pick how you are going to attempt to play the game. You can load up on reaction cards and just wait for other people to do stuff. And perhaps by having all those reaction cards, people will be like, ooh, do I want to try to do these things, or is he just going to stop me from doing it? So you can kind of play those games, or maybe you want to get a bunch of different destinations out and just capitalize on those extra actions or abilities or bonuses that you might get. And I do think all of that really does work fairly cleanly. So what are my quibbles about the game? Everything that I just said is also a quibble, because here's the thing. There is a lot of randomness to it because you're drawing cards and you're flipping things over, and maybe it's going to help you, maybe it's not. You're going to play a card that's going to get 3 expedition points. Well, maybe someone has a reaction card that's just going to stop it. You're going to flip over a quest, and maybe it's literally a quest that the success trigger of that quest is end your turn, and you get something. Or maybe you flip it over and the success trigger for it is have 3 destinations, which are the most expensive thing that you can possibly buy. And so all of these things, it's fun to sit down and play, but it might drive you up the wall when you don't get something that you can use, and that does happen. There are times when you play and you just get trash. And along with that, all cards are not created equal as you're going through. You might buy something that is fantastic when you flip over your treasure, or you might get something that is just not useful to you. Same thing with the trade cards. So there you have it, folks. With all that said, that is Expedition to Zanthalar. I think what this game is doing is it is taking the best parts of a game like Munchkin, and without stripping away all of the stab your friend in the back type thing that Munchkin is, famous for, it strips away enough of it so it does not become pervasive. And while I am sure it is possible to have an exceedingly long game of Zanthalar,
I don't see it happening often. I think the game goes, I don't think it overstays its welcome, and I think you get a quick, fun experience. And if the art all turns out to be awesome, it's going to be a really cool game to look at. So there you have it, folks. That is Expeditions Zanthalar. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp so I can get that into the Klingon subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.